Hi, I'm Doug Turnbull from Turnbull Restoration and Manufacturing Company. We've been in business here for over 30 years. Started out in Creekside Gun Shop. My parents started back in '59, and kind of grew up in the industry, grew up in the business, grew up in and around the shooting and firearms and that. And so people wonder, what did I do? How did I get into this? And a lot of it, it's self-taught. It's working with dealer collectors. Enjoyed the hands-on. Enjoyed building guns, restocking, refinishing. Enjoy that end of the industry much more than the retail side. And it's allowed me to take my skills to expand in the restoration, in recreation of the old historical metal finishes on the period firearms. And we've expanded that, and a lot of it is from the dealers and collectors and telling us what we can do to improve our work. How does it look? In our restoration, what are we missing? How can we make it better? So that's kind of allowed us to grow and expand in our areas. And some of those areas are like lettering. The lettering needs to be crisp and sharp, not washed out. If there's pitting, you do the repairs, you weld and or draw file it out. And then it's having a real high quality engraver recut lettering, or as we've done now, gone to roll dies, and we've got about 100 different roll dies. So we can reestablish and reapply the markings just as they were originally, whether it's a broken D on a early Model 90 or the addresses on some of the more obscure rifles and handguns on 1911s we do an awful lot with. So that's just a little bit of kind of background of who we are, and what we do. And we'll talk about some other things here just shortly. Kind of a little more background of where I came from, and that is I grew up in Creekside Gun Shop that my parents started back in '59. Enjoyed the hands-on more than retail. Did stocking shelves, cleaning floors, doing all that stuff just like everybody else. You're growing up in your family business. I found more of a passion for the hands-on, the repairs, drilling and tapping holes, mounting scopes, doing the hot blue and the quick refinishes that gun shops are noted for. But we were also getting into color case hardening and experimenting with that. My father was a chemist with Taylor Instruments, and he was always the experimenter. And back in the day, in the early and later '60s, my father would go around and talk to a lot of these older people, and still they were doing. I mean, at that time they were in their 40s and 50s, and he would talk to them and get them to open up a little bit and take a little bit of information from this person and that person on color case hardening. And we kept working on the bone charcoal process. We got into the '70s, and I was getting more and more involved with that and helping out. We worked at it and kept scrupulous notes and got us so we could duplicate the colors very, very closely. And part of the issue is there's variation of colors from manufacturer to manufacturer. Parkers are different than Winchesters and Lefevres, and Foxes had their own kind of look. Some of that's due to the metal, some of it's due to the process, some of it's due to the variations in the processes we do and temperatures and times, and we run things. So it's awful lot of experimentation, as well as working with dealers and collectors and having them show us this is what it's supposed to look like. Then you go back and you try to figure it out. It's the finishes, it's the rust blue of the barrels and tubes, it's the experimenting and coming up with the process for the charcoal bluing, the Carbona blue. And it's all these processes. If it's not finished right, have the right final finish on it, Then all the metal prep, recutting, engraving, touching up lettering, all the little details, keeping everything flat, square, and sharp, not dishing the holes. All those things that everybody looks at, it's just a refinished gun. You ruined it. We went through that in the 80s, and it was hard because at that time there was a lot of original guns, and highly collectible. And we were taking some stuff and bringing it back, and we weren't able at that time to get the high retail dollar because there's a lot of the original stuff, and it was tucked away in collections, but they still came up. As today, the high condition still comes out. And as I was working in the shop, we would see dealers come in, and there's a fellow doing an awful lot with Model 70s. He went to Fajan, had Fajan build stocks, and then he was upgrading, taking a standard grade rifle and turning it into a super grade. And he did that for a while, and he ended up getting run out of the business. And we had dealers that we were working with that were misrepresenting our stuff as original. And it was kind of coming around. And I didn't want to be tied into that game. I didn't want to be associated with, it's Doug Turnbull, he's the guy that's making all these fakes. Well, we kind of went the other way. We would do the work, we would make them look as right and correct as we could. But on the other side, if we sold it, we represented it for what it is. We offered discounts on our work if you had our T inside of a D stamped on it. Not many people took it, and we do have some stuff out there that way that you can visually see in that. So the other option was, if somebody calls, says, I have serial number 12345, was it in your shop? And we offer the service that if you call and say, I need information on a number, we'll let you know if it was here, but we won't tell you who it was here for or for what reason. It's just that the gun happened to be through the shop. And sometimes we have to go through our records and say, oh, geez, that Parker CHE 20 gauge that was here sure does look like original colors. Look through the records. Yep, it is original colors. It was just used as an engraving sample for another gun. It's the honesty. It's being upfront. It's telling people if it's right, if it's wrong, what's been done to it. That's really what's kind of brought us different than everybody else in the industry, and whether it's the dealers, the restoration shops, it's being honest of what you're doing, and that's what really separates us from the rest of the crowd. And one of the guns that we have here is an original Colt 1911 that we've done a restoration on. And some of the things that the details that we've really gone into, it's getting the polish right. It's deepening the letters. It's re-rolling the U.S. Army, re-stamping the HP on top, the barrel address. We've taken it off, and you can feel the slight raise and pucker to it. It's from the roll die, as well as restamping the horse. The knurling on the hammer and the rest of the parts is all recut. Carefully go through and recut, chase it. Give it to the engraver, and he kind of chases it and cleans it up. One of the things that is very, very difficult to do is that wavy top finish on the barrel, on the top of the slides. And through a lot of experimentation, we've been able to come up with a process to give that kind of wavy look. And it's one of those little things that really makes a difference between just a refinished gun and a restoration. But it's going through. It's keeping the edges nice and sharp and clean, and not roll the edges over. Recutting the grips, really getting them to look the way they were originally. It's all those little details that really make the difference, and we'll show that a little more. But we've taken that aspect and that look of quality of the restoration into the new manufacturing. And what we've got here is a brand new gun. It's a Turnbull 1911. We've done a few little changes. The polish on the top goes lengthwise. Just little things that doesn't make a lot of difference, but it's the real look of the original 1911. Again, it's the little details. We've got our turn-in bull in the back. We've got our inspector's mark. All the information on the gun, Turnbull manufacturing, is here, kind of like it was in the later Colts. But it's the look. I mean, you take the two guns, and other than some markings on the side, they're awfully close to the same look, feel. The small sights, a copy of the rear sight, copy of the front sight. It's take the restoration, put it into manufacturing. And we've, for the most part, done the same thing with our Heritage series. It's the same World War I gun is our base model and our restoration, but we did the color case hardening on the frame. We're really noted for our color case hardening, and we put it on the frame, and it just changes the whole look just by adding a different finish to the frame. And we'll show this a little bit more in detail here. We take restoration, turn it into manufacturing. It's all that detail stuff. Put all the old historical metal finishes on, and kind of go from there with it. And what we have here is a restoration. One of our new manufacturers, all blue, and then a new manufacturer with blue and color case hardening. And some of the things that you can really kind of see that are really noted on the restoration, we've gone through, polished everything, got all the edges good and square and sharp. We've got the two-tone areas, and the frame and the grip and the trigger guard area. And you can see that everything's flat and square and crisp. We've re-stamped the horse, re-rolled lettering, re-rolled the U.S. property, and the inspector mark. From there, we've gone to the new manufacturer, and you can kind of see between the two, everything is square and crisp and nice. We've got the two-tone, both on the frame and in trigger guard. We don't have the roll markings on this particular gun. We do have the turning bull as opposed to the rampant Colt. And then if you go to the Heritage series, which is the same as the full blue, everything's the same on the whole gun, except we've got the bone charcoal color case hardening of the frame. So it kind of gives you kind of the transition. We're doing the restoration work, all the details. We get into the manufacturing, we go through manufacturing, same thought process as a restoration. And here you can see the kind of an overall of the three guns. We have the restoration, new manufacturing, and new manufacturing with a twist on the metal finishes. And you can see that we've taken in the new manufacturing everything to go with the restoration. It's the attention to detail, it's the polish, it's the two-tone finish, and then you kind of go into the modern techie kind of look with the color case hardening. So it gives you an overall look of everything that we do. So really what you can see here is what have we done different in our manufacturing over some of the other people out there. And really what it is, it's with our standard World War I gun, it's the attention to detail, which is in all of our guns, but it's attention to detail. It's making this gun look like our original restoration. It's getting the polishes right, it's getting the two tones, and then again it's keeping everything square and flat, just as the originals, and double diamond grips, it's going through and doing all that. And then as we're getting into the Heritage Series, we're kind of taking the restoration to the new manufacturing and getting into a little bit more of a custom gun. And as we go, we get a little more into the modern amenities of what everybody wants. It's hard to see these small sights, but that's what you got to have on that World War I series. So as you get into the modern, we're going to see beaver tail, grip safety, scalonized hammer, bigger sights, white dots or trinium, some adjustable sights, getting into what the modern guy and gal are looking for a shooting gun. But this is kind of our base model and kind of where we transition in from the restoration into the manufacturing and kind of the start into the new mod changes. So here we are. Now as we're getting into the new manufacturing, you can see some variations that we've done. And part of that is restoration, new manufacturer, World War I gun. It's got some small sights, and then we've gone into building a Commander as well as a government model, more modern. It's got the A1 cutout, wider safety, longer safety. Got the Novak 3-dot sights, beaver tail, grip safety, and a scalonized hammer. Speed up for a little faster lock time. So you can kind of see some progressions as we've gone and moved forward, and kind of giving the people what they're looking for, and you can see it's their transition in manufacturing time and period, but again we keep that same look in detail with both the polish and the finishes. So there you've gotten a little background of who we are, what we're doing. Again, we've been here 30 years plus. Grew up in the business. And we've been here in a new facility for 17 years. You can see the difference between the restoration and new manufacturing. And you can see as we're getting into some of the modern mod stuff with the beaver tail safeties, speed hammers, A1 style frame, as well as the large sights, kind of giving the modern shooting what they're looking for. So we've kind of gone from the old to the new, and you'll be seeing some more down the road. Talk to you later.